Behold, mortal, a child of radiant beauty shall spring forth from you. But beware, her beauty will cast shadows of strife and calamity to those around. Embrace the divine decree, as the gods we shall surely unfold in the dance of destiny. Long time ago, in the village of Mokara, there lived a woman named Lila. In the village of Morocco, Lila was different from other women. Ever since she was a little girl, she was never hardworking. As a child, she would frown and complain when she was sent to do chores, and she would also give her mother problems. As Lila grew up to be a woman, she didn't change. Her husband was a good man who people loved in the village, and people always managed to ask how he ended up with Lila. As time passed, Lila didn't change. In the village of Morocco, there was a tradition that happened when the prince of the village was of age and ready to get married. There would be a festival, and the prince would end up marrying the most beautiful girl in the village. This would make the lady's family to become royalty. Since Lila was a lazy woman and loved wealth without working, she decided she was going to become a part of royalty. Lila was not a very beautiful woman. However, she boasted to her friends in the market that she was going to be a part of royalty and that she would give birth to a beautiful child that would make it happen. The women in the market laughed very hard at her joke. This made Lila more determined to prove them wrong. Lila sat on her home for days thinking about how she would achieve her plan. She then devised a plan. However, she waited till she was pregnant before she carried it out. When Lila became pregnant, she began to make moves on her plan. She decided to meet the most powerful priestess in the village, Zimona, a strong woman of power and will. Lila explained that she wanted to give birth to a very beautiful baby. Zimona told her that the only way that would be guaranteed was for her to appease the goddess of beauty. Zimona told Lila that the task would not be easy. She told her that she would need to do some very difficult tasks. Also, she would need to go to the forest of the heavens and look for the goddess of beauty tree and then call on her. She would also need to drop a gift that is very valuable. Lila decided to carry out Zimona's advice. She did all the difficult tasks and then went into the forest. She sold all her tangible personal items, her wrappers, her little jewelry, and then she bought a golden bracelet. Inside the forest, Lila called upon the goddess of beauty. She waited for hours, and then the goddess of beauty appeared in the form of a beautiful peacock. "I have heard your cry. I will grant you your desire," the goddess spoke. She brought out a feather from the peacock and told Lila to rub it in her stomach. Lila did as she was told. The goddess then told Lila that the deed was done and that she would give birth to an enchanting child. The goddess told Lila to go home and come back the next day with the bracelet and the feather. Lila went home. However, the next day when she returned to the forest, she dropped the feather, but she didn't drop the golden bracelet. She was anxious that she would suffer as she had sold all her personal belongings. She also thought that it would be a long time before her child would grow and compete with other girls to become the new queen. With all this in her mind, Lila went home with her golden bracelet. Lila was anxious that something bad would happen to her that night. To her surprise, nothing did. Months passed and nothing happened. Little did Lila that the gods do not forget things and they do not like to be disobeyed or tricked. On the night when Lila delivered her child, the goddess of beauty appeared to her in a dream and cursed her baby. Behold, mortal, a child of radiant beauty shall spring forth from you. But beware, her beauty will cast shadows of strife and calamity to those around. Embrace the divine decree, as the gods will shall surely unfold in the dance of destiny. In due time, Lila bore a beautiful baby. She called her Ella. At a young age, Ella was so beautiful that the villagers adored her. Lila received so many gifts that made her so happy. However, some villagers wondered and questioned how Lila was able to give birth to such a beautiful child. Ella, to the surprise of many, was not like her mother. She took after her father instead. Ella would sit with elders and listen to tales and words of wisdom. She would also do chores without complaining and help others around her. As Ella grew older, her good and kind nature remained. She would teach little children to be obedient to their parents, and so many villagers loved her for this. Many men in the village admired Ella, but many were not bold enough to approach her. Others felt she was too beautiful and that she was reserved for the prince in the village. However, they were still kind to her and would greet her when she encountered them. However, there was one man in the village who avoided Ella like a plague. His name was Tolani. Tolani was the son of Zimona, the most powerful priestess in the village. Zimona was the priestess who told Ella's mother to go meet the goddess of beauty in order to have a good child. Zimona, however, told her son Tolani to avoid Ella. She did this because ever since Ella was born, she sensed an evil and dark aura surrounding Ella. Zimona then concluded that Lila must have done something wrong or must have disobeyed, and because of this, Ella was not born into the world with purity. Since Lila never bothered to tell Zimona what happened about Ella's birth, Zimona refrained from asking her. She only told Tolani to not be close to Ella like the other villagers. One day, Ella confronted Tolani. She asked if she had offended him and if that was why he avoided her intentionally. Tolani told Ella that she did nothing wrong. However, he told Ella that he felt she was only favored because of her beauty and that besides her beauty, she was nothing more. Ella was determined to prove to Tolani that she was more than just a beautiful face and that she had more virtue and value as a person. She then told Tolani to meet her later that evening. When evening came, Ella and Tolani started a conversation. Ella then began to speak powerful words of wisdom and mystical things that was only known to few persons in the village. Ella then told Tolani that she had always been with elders to listen to them and that her beauty was not what defined her as a person. Tolani was surprised that Ella was filled with so much grace and wisdom despite her beauty. The next day, Tolani approached Ella and apologized for misjudging her. He then told that they can be friends and that if she needed help she could come to him. Tolani then went to tell his mother that he and Ella had become friends. Zimona, knowing that her son was now a grown man, knew that he would not be able to keep her son away from Ella. She then decided to give Tolani a very powerful enchantment bead. She told Tolani that the bead would protect him from any form of harm and that she should wear it at all times. However, there was more to how powerful the bead she gave Tolani was. And also why the bead was so powerful. Zimona felt there was no need to tell Tolani any more than he needed to know. She believed her son would be safe either way. Things started to fall apart for Ella a few days later after she turned 20 years old. Akin, a renowned farmer in the village who had just harvested his crops, went to present it to Ella's mother. He said that the crops was for Ella. Lila, being a mischievous woman, did not reject the gift. Instead, she danced and was happy. The problem did not stop there. A few days later, some men in the village did the same thing. They would sell their merchandise in the markets and go over to drop huge loads of gifts for Ella's mother. This became a huge concern for the women in the village. Soon the love that they had for Ella disappeared. As Ella was still dealing with the reality and problem that she was facing, and how the village was now starting to hate her, more problems followed. Ella had gone into the nearby forest to cry. She didn't go too deep into the forest so she would not be endangered. However, she knew that it was the only place she could cry out her heart without anyone seeing or judging her. Unknown to her, someone was just coming from deep inside the forest. It was Tolani. Tolani had gone into the forest to pick some powerful herbs for his mother, Priestess Zimona. Tolani saw Ella crying and approached her. After hearing what happened, Tolani comforted Ella. He told her that life was full of challenges and that everything would be fine. He also gave her a few herbs to take home. He told her that the herbs would help calm her nerves and also help her to sleep well. "Let's go back into the village. You will be fine," Tolani told Ella. Ella smiled and the both of them walked into the village. A week later, after the whole drama about Ella receiving gifts and food items from other men, something more strange occurred. A prince named Prince Olu had come to Mokera village to discuss something important with the king. On his way, he was sent on behalf of his father, King Maidon, who was a powerful king in a nearby village. When Prince Olu arrived Mokara village, he passed through the marketplace with his guards in order to get to the village palace. As the villagers saw him, they all bowed in respect to the young prince. Ella, who happened to be at the market, also saw Prince Musa and bowed. However, the young prince was fast enough to have taken note of her beauty before she bowed her head. He then walked up to Ella and introduced himself. "Please, arise, young maiden," the prince said to Ella. He then stretched his hand to Ella as a sign of good gesture. Ella took the prince's hand and arose. It would have been a sight of utter disrespect if Ella had refused the prince's hands. However, something utterly strange and dark took place when this happened. As soon as Ella's hands touched the prince's body went into a shock and suddenly he fell to the ground and became unconscious. Prince Olu's guards were shocked at what happened. They thought the prince fell as a mistake, so they went close to him and tried to help him up. As soon as the two guards touched the prince's body, they too fell and became unconscious. It was at that moment that the two remaining bodyguards knew that something was wrong. They knew that some sort of evil power was at work. The bodyguards were angry and vicious, but they knew that if they tried to help the prince, the same calamity would befall them. The bodyguards then warned the villagers. They told them that they would return back to their village and report to the king. They then said that the villagers should prepare for war for killing their beloved prince. The bodyguards then left the village. What do you think will befall the fate of Ella and her village? Will they be destroyed by the powerful village ruled by King Maidon, or will they suffer a more disastrous fate? Find out in the next part. Please like, share and subscribe to Folktales. Till we meet again.